Hello, my name is Chappie Ferrer. I'm the Executive Director of Military Outreach USA and the founder of the Stand By Me Heroes program. I'm an Iraqi vet. I served in the 82nd, the 7th Army. I'm a licensed minister and a chaplain for multiple organizations. This framework that we're talking about is a framework of hope and recovery. In partnership with Crosswinds Foundation, the manual that we're using is called Warrior Hope. It is simplistic, it is effective, and this is part of our foundation. So let's begin with this chapter. Defining the mission. This is the most important saying I think that everyone should know. If you do not know where you are going, every road will get you to nowhere. Now, I know in the military, we learn a lot about land navigation, do we not? We go through the training, we go through different areas of the world and apply those skills and improve on those skills. But if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know whether you ever get there or not? You're simply not. So if you do not know where you're going, every road will lead you to nowhere. This becomes especially true when you come into the civilian sector. You need to know. Our main focus is being on mission. And we're all familiar with this. Throughout our military career, everything is about the mission. We train for it, we practice and practice and practice. And then when we're totally exhausted, we continue to practice and practice and practice. But there is a reason for all that practice that leads up to the mission. So we look at the parameters of the mission, and accordingly, we prepare for it in many ways. If we wander aimlessly, your mission will never complete. That's pretty common sense. And I ask, if it's so common sense, why when we come into the civilian sector, many of us are still aimlessly maneuvering to who knows where. So we're looking for people to strive to move forward. And in order to do that, we do this as a team. When you were in the military, you were always part of a small squad, a small team. We do the same here, especially when things are much more difficult with some of the past issues that we seem to bring with us at all times. So let's talk about the body, mind, and soul. We will continue to stress this. It sounds like common sense, but no, it's not always common sense. There are those that are logically minded that only see the mental and the emotional part. But we at Military Outreach USA and most organizations out there, when we look at this perspective, it's from a perspective of mind, body, and soul. Leave one undone, and the whole person is not healed. And this number of 22 plus confirms that we've still not learned that lesson. Defining the mission. Now, as a certified project management professional, this is, to me, as simple as project management. You have to define your scope of work. You have to define that mission. And there's a lot of thought, a lot of preparation that goes into this. The same thing, the same process, the same thoughts occur in the civilian sector. Maybe a little more difficult depending on the complexity, but it's still the same. We join the military often for a transcendent cause, a cause that is greater than us. Let me read this definition in the English dictionary, which reads, the definition of a transcendent cause: beyond or above the range of normal or merely physical human experience, surpassing the ordinary, exceptional. Every one of you that have made a determination in your youth to serve, and even those later in life that still made a decision, such as after 9/11, to serve, that is what we call a transcendent cause, something greater than you. But in this, we have to consider much more than just the thought of what we can do, how we can impact lives, but we have to think about how it impacts us as well. We're trained to plan, to prepare, then execute the mission. When you come into the civilian sector, the same still holds true. It may take on more of a project management process, but it's all the same. And it's something that we must consider. Again, as a project management professional, I look at 3 displacements that we have to consider, that we have to plan for, that we have to prepare for. What about coming home? Is that not a big change? While we have been out protecting the gates of freedom, families have continued to grow. They continue to face everyday situations, some adverse situations that they have to overcome, but everything changes. And change scares everyone. The unknown scares everyone. What about relationships? Remember when you left and you served in the theater of war and you were gone for all that time? Your relationship is going to change. Mine did. I was in Iraq for a period of time and I came back home. It seemed like everything changed. My wife, my kids. It's something that took me a little while to understand. And then there's work. When you come into the civilian sector, think about it. You've gone from high-speed, low-drag situation, and all of a sudden, things are moving very slow. You want to be able to accomplish everything within your job, but the team around you just moving too slow. They're moving at civilian speed, and it's difficult for us. So with all these displacements, as we call them, there is a way that we can work together in small teams and help understand expectations. How do we do in the civilian sector? How do we assimilate into that job opportunity that we've always wanted? This you do with help. As a project management professional, my successes were based on the support that I had from many mentors, veterans and civilians, that taught me. And after a while, I began to get better and better. And this applies to anyone and everyone. Because surely if I can do it, anyone can. But we go back to the mission. What is your mission when you come into the civilian sector? Well, you still have some baggage that you're bringing with you. As was stated in some of these chapters, war is hell. And hell will follow you. And there is a way to manage and reduce the intensity of that. And all of a sudden you've got family, you've got job, and all these things come together and they may be a burden, and they will be a burden. But just as you faced all those missions and successfully accomplished those missions in the military, with a small team, you can do the same in the civilian sector. Look to contact us, Military Outreach, USA.org, and speak with one of our Foxhole SO counselors. We consist of psychologists, doctors, nurses, NCOs, officers, civilians that really can be helpful in guiding us. People that will protect your six. And that's the most important part there. So your mission changes in more dramatic ways than you could ever know, especially if you're beginning a new family. A mission clarifies what your target will be. It's something you have to seriously consider, but you should not consider alone. If there is someone that has gone through this situation that I'm about to go through, would it be best not to ask them to speak with them and ask for some mentorship? It'll help you avoid an enormous number of obstacles. When we first marry, do we not seek a friend, a close friend, to help us to understand the things that we're facing? It's very similar, is it not? So upon you exiting the military and coming into the civilian sector, there are many considerations, but you don't need to go through it alone. Understand this. You've developed many gifts while serving in the military. Your instincts remain most necessary, most needed, not only for your job, not only for your family, not only for community, but it's all encompassing as to those that you can help, those that you can volunteer to help along this journey and smooth out some of those rough roads. You've had a transcendent cause that you served in protecting the gates of freedom. Now your second cause is before you. It's your God, it's family, it's community through faith. And you can have great impacts from that which you've already learned, that which you're already capable of using all those talents, all those gifts to benefit those about you. But you need a core team. Not a team of people that will say yes, yes, yes. Avoid that at all costs. But people that care. Small groups. Remember the small group? People that will tell you when you're not going on that right path. People that you trust, that you know will guard your six and say, that's not a path you should take. People that will look at you and say, this area you need a little more focus, a little more help. All of this is available. All of this is available through you, and I ask again that you would consider our Foxhole Soul Counselors as part of your support group to help with both or with all three, mind, body, and soul. So let's define the mission. Let's know what that is. And as part of that mission, as part of your path when you're looking at a family, when you're looking at a job, when you're looking at your parents, your community, let's consider along with all that detail the foundation of faith in your life. Because it is, at the end of the day, it's all about faith, family, and your friends that will help you in your journey. Everyone should be aware of Black Hawk Down, the movie that came out in 1992. It's a very traumatic experience, and it's difficult for many to watch, even today. But in this, I want you to understand something that many are going through. There's a description of a warrior's death that I want to read verbatim, that many of us can relate to, that many of us continue to struggle with. And it says, "Into the valley we led the way, and by the Father's hand we live each day. For the life we choose, there's no regrets, and we'll beat the devil even better yet. Stories come and stories goes, but the ones we'll ever know have walked the path and met a man, and on bended knee to a Savior's hand. With each victory, there is a cost. To serve Christ Jesus, my will is lost. Should this be my final breath, may I die a warrior's death." There comes a time as soldiers that we understand the situation we're in. We may not last the end of that day. We may not see the next sunrise. But there comes a time in our lives when we make a choice and we're prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually, even if the result winds up with death. What do you know? What do you think is your life's mission now? Well, sure, we know that it's family. We know that we need a job. But if that's your only focus, then you're falling short. We're talking about healing the complete person, not just part of the person. So we must recognize not only those hindrances that we have, but we overcome mind, body, and soul. We overcome through mental health. We overcome through physical health. And I can never stress enough that even though we no longer have to wake up at 5 a.m, and go on these long runs, physical health is still important to continue in this life's journey. And also critical is our spiritual health. If you want to heal, if you want to recover the whole person, all three must be part of your mission. How do we overcome obstacles? Well, sure, we have to overcome the obstacles, but not alone. We overcame great obstacles in battle. Now that we're in the civilian sector, there are other battles to fight. But it's through mind, body, and soul that we overcome them. And plus, we must be that example to our family, to our community, which needs our help, our gifts. So consider militaryOutreachUSA.org. Call us, send us an email, and we will be there to help you. Our mantra remains the same. It will never change. When you can't run, you walk. And when you can't walk, you crawl. And when you can't crawl, allow our Foxhole Soul Counselors to come and help carry you. Again, for those, and I speak to NCOs, I speak to officers, to civilians, men and women, consider becoming a Foxhole Soul Counselor, of giving of yourself to volunteer 6 to 10 hours a month to speak with individuals who are also struggling. Together, we are made strong. Individually, we will remain weak. Thank you for this time.